If you've played Final Fantasy XIV, chances are you've told someone, it's really fun, but the first 30 hours are a slog, it gets good during the first expansion, it's worth the wait, etc, etc. And for a time, I was saying that too. But the more I play, the more I realize I actually quite liked A Realm Reborn. I took part in regurgitating the same tired, dismissive sentiment as a majority of the community because, yes, I did get frustrated with aspects of the base game. However, to write it all off as unenjoyable is an insult to the entire game and its narrative. I would like to play devil's advocate and lay out a short, sweet, and loving defense for A Realm Reborn. While it will rely on anecdotal experiences and acknowledge the flaws of the base game, my arguments will also draw from an intimate understanding of and love for both RPGs and storytelling. If my enjoyment of A Realm Reborn personally offends you, I just beg you to step back and reframe your experiences with the base game the same way I have mine. I understand that the base game is not for everyone, but as the title says, I'm tired of pretending it is wholly without merit. For all its quest bloat and disorganization, I must first and foremost commend the base game for its insistence on immersion. There was always something exhilarating about walking into a new region or new zone and looking for the aetheryte plazas, hearing the music change, seeing the new enemies and monster tribes. Honestly, while I haven't played much World of Warcraft, I did love that about the vanilla version I played. Being made to walk so much tells you so much about the areas you explore, what the Calamity did to not only the people but the monsters in the very world you wander, what version 1.0 was like before the Calamity, as well as feeding you information about the Alec Empire, which is central to the plot of the game. There are days that I log in and just walk around different areas, letting the environment tell me about the world that I still am a stranger to. Even now I enjoy the journey when made to go somewhere new, and I think this is what really made me realize the fondness I have for A Realm Reborn. There's an emphasis on the journey, not the destination. Slaying primals is important, yes, as is learning about the Ascians and the Garleans, but you are a grassroots hero. Your story starts in the nation you call home, and you only become a legend by taking the time to observe, listen to, aid, and care for the people of Hydaelyn. Obviously, my opinion on this is solidified by the fact that the devs cut out nearly 200 redundant fetch quests, reducing the amount of quests I would find to be a slog. But again, as someone who has played vanilla World of Warcraft and a notorious Final Fantasy XIV ripoff, RPG Tour Online for the knowers out there, as well as other MMORPGs, I can't say I take too much of an issue with the simple go to place and talk to and do things for locals formula. Where I was in World of Warcraft, this seemed par for the course, and in other MMORPGs, this structure is all there is to their story, more or less, namely Wizard 101 and Toontown. Frankly, what I think bothers people about this approach to world building and immersion in 14 is that they are immediately shown that they are the chosen one, the warrior of light. They go in expecting to be treated with reverence instead of earning it through their deeds. Of course I see this now, having completed A Realm Reborn without skipping anything. Even now as I replay it on an alt account, I appreciate how it makes you earn the reputation as the warrior of light. Honestly, I feel a lot of the gripes that people have with A Realm Reborn is that it doesn't immediately feed into the power fantasy of being the warrior of light, and this seems to be a critique held with the most contentious expansions. I've noticed this in a lot of the complaints about Stormblood and Dawntrail, although I'm not at Dawntrail yet. 14 went for something difficult by making the player character of an MMO the chosen one. As I make my way through Shadowbringers, I'm operating under the assumption that light parties are formed by either other warriors of light or simply other adventurers who possess the echo, both of which would require them to go on similar journeys as you to be recognized by grand companies, guilds, and so forth in order to be put into a party. Meta interpretation or not, I think the long haul is important. The many quests you face also plant the seeds that will only begin to bloom an expansion or 2 or hell even 3 ahead. Realm Reborn is long, yes, but this allows it to drip feed the player the lore that it has in spades. Ala Mhigo is central to Stormblood, as is Doma, and you begin to see the effects of the Garlean Empire on these people from early on. NPCs you aid on fetch quests have been displaced or played some part in the story you have yet to see, much like how the introductory cutscene of A Realm Reborn pays off after the Bloody Banquet. There are moments that are set up in A Realm Reborn to be fully realized in the endgame or in later expansions. It makes Hydaelyn feel real, with the player naturally getting a handle on the world's storied history via long-term and repeated exposure. This is not to say it is a perfect approach. The Titan questline is rightfully dogged on, especially when it insists upon itself by reminding the player of the urgency of the situation while dragging them through far too many quests for what it's worth. But even then, if not for the slog of a questline, would we really come to know some rather important NPCs? I was honestly thrilled to see Real again in the lead up to Heavensward and during the Crystal Braves arc, and to once again speak with Brave Flocks throughout Heavensward, to get scraps of Curious Urge before diving into the Warrior questline. I know I've been repeating myself with this conclusion, but these moments are earned. They fall into place, satisfying the player and tying up loose ends in a way that makes sense in retrospect. If you are, however, someone who cares more for the gameplay than the story, there is a remedy for your boredom. This is an MMO after all. Play with friends. Even as a lore fiend and Final Fantasy addict, I did find it a bit troublesome to work through some of the more boring job quest lines, cough cough pugilist, or simpler dungeons, and it's the same struggle on my alt. I'm extraordinarily grateful to the community for being such a joy, and especially for the guidance and support of my dear friend, who happens to be a legacy player. When the story was at slower points, like the aforementioned Company of Heroes questline, we hopped on a call, put our playlist full of intentionally shitty music on, and chatted while basically running errands. We would hop on a 2-person mount and clear content, all while chatting and laughing. An MMO is meant to be played with others. While it is a nuisance that tells friend requests and party invites are locked behind the subscription, chances are you're playing because a friend is already on the game and at a point where they're subbed. Take advantage of the community and have fun. Realm Reborn's quality and storytelling pales in comparison to the expansions it precedes, but it is vital to remember that the base game is just that, the foundation for everything that follows. You would not live up to your mantle as a warrior of light without it, nor would anything later on feel substantial without such extensive and immersive world building. To heed Hydaelyn's call is to truly live on the star. Without a Realm Reborn, I don't think 14 would hit as hard as it does. Thank you all for watching, and see you soon.